One of the biggest issues people have when they are looking at ways to develop relationships with centers of influence, whether it's a CPA or an attorney, is where do you meet them? So what I'd like to talk about is 4 different ways that I've successfully met CPAs, attorneys, and also I've worked with other people. The first one is through current clients. Let's assume they're end users. And what you would do is you would approach them and help them understand that because of the changes that are going on, the Affordable Care Act, changes in the federal tax code, very unpredictable stock market, and still a relatively rough economy, that you've made a decision to be more of a holistic planner. As a result, what you need to do is be introduced to their CPA and their attorney at a minimum. And what you want to become is make an effort to be more holistic in your role with them. So basically, you want to sit down with their CPA, their attorney, and you want to make sure that there's nothing that's slipping through the cracks. You're not going to charge them anything extra for this work, but you just want to make sure that ultimately your very best clients are getting everything looked at. So that's certainly one easy way to approach your current client base. The second way that I would suggest meeting CPAs, meeting attorneys, would be through warm contacts. Obviously, right away, your mind would go to friends and family. And that's certainly something you can do, is reach out to friends or family if you're comfortable having a conversation with them. I'd also encourage you to think out of the box a little bit. So other professionals that you might know through your community, people like business appraisers, business attorneys, business evaluators, business brokers, property and casualty agents. There's a whole list that we could go through, but other professionals that are in your community that have formed relationships with centers of influence. If you approach them in the way that you are looking for referrals, they're going to be very hesitant to most likely make those introductions, because CPAs and attorneys obviously are some of the most sought after kind of referral partners. So what I would suggest you do when you are speaking with some of these warm contacts would be help them understand that there's a dramatic shift that's gone on in the industry. One of what they used to be much more of a reactionary, let's specifically talk about CPAs for a second, tax preparer, to now a much more proactive, trusted business advisor. And that's not a term that we've come up with, it's one that's certainly been written a lot about. So with the shift that's gone on from the reactionary tax planner to the trusted business advisor, it's a very difficult jump for a lot of CPAs to make. You are making an effort to shift some of your practice to help CPAs make that transition from the reactionary tax preparer to the more proactive, trusted business advisor. So that's the first way, was the current clients. Second way is the warm contacts. The third way is get out in the community. Networking groups, educational events, certainly being on boards of groups. Don't just do this in a way that is kind of narrow-minded and short-focused. Most likely you're going to have to invest time here, but build genuine relationships. For example, I'm on a number of different boards, one of which is a board for professionals who like surfing. For me, that's a perfect connection, and I've met 5 or 6 CPAs and attorneys through that group. So look for groups that you genuinely like being around, and look for ways to form genuine relationships inside of those groups. And the fourth way that I would suggest meeting CPAs and attorneys would be online. A lot of people underestimate, or maybe are not familiar enough with the value of the internet. Certainly we can focus on one group like LinkedIn. LinkedIn is an incredible resource for not only people that might be in your downline, for example, your fraternity brother that you haven't spoken to in 5 years, but happens to be a CPA or an accountant. So make sure you get on there and realize who's actually you're already connected with, who's in your downline, but also close friends that you have. It's very easy to go on LinkedIn and search for who is connected to people that you already know. Once you do that, get a list of names and make sure that once you have that list, you ask for a direct introduction from your friend to the accountant or to the CPA. And again, I would suggest positioning it the same way. You are there to help professionals, COIs, make the transition from a reactionary planner to a more proactive, trusted business advisor. That's what I wanted to share with you today.